The tranquil town of Caper was about to be rocked by a shocking crime. It was a day like any other when a frantic call came into the police station. The caller, a young man named P, claimed his wife, Giotti, had been kidnapped. P, the son of a wealthy family, told a harrowing tale of a brazen abduction. He and Giotti had been driving home from a dinner date when their car was ambushed by 4 men on motorcycles. P claimed the assailants beat him and sped off with his terrified wife. The police sprang into action, their urgency fueled by P's family's influence and the fear that Giotti's life hung in the balance. The story, as told by P, pointed to a classic ransom kidnapping. The perpetrators, he assumed, were after his family's fortune. Time was of the essence, and the police launched a full-scale investigation to find Giotti and bring her back safely. Little did they know, they were already on the trail of a much darker truth. The police followed every lead, desperate to find Giotti. P's family anxiously awaited news, their hopes clinging to the belief that she was still alive. Then, a chilling discovery shattered their world. Giotti's lifeless body was found in an abandoned car on the outskirts of town. The kidnappers hadn't taken her for ransom after all, they had taken her life. The news of Giotti's murder sent shockwaves through Caper. The town, unaccustomed to such violence, grappled with fear and disbelief. The police, now facing a homicide investigation, were baffled. Why would anyone target Giotti, a young woman who seemed to have everything to live for? As they dug deeper, they began to suspect that this wasn't a random act of violence. Something more sinister was at play. At the hospital, as P identified Giotti's body, a small detail caught the eye of a seasoned detective. P had changed his clothes since the initial police report. He was now wearing a different t-shirt. It seemed like an insignificant observation, but something about it didn't sit right with the detective. Why would a man, still reeling from the trauma of losing his wife in such a brutal manner, be concerned with changing his clothes? The detective, a man who had learned to trust his gut, shared his observation with his colleagues. The seed of doubt had been planted. Could P's seemingly insignificant change of clothing be a sign of something more? Was he trying to conceal evidence? Or was this just a grieving husband trying to regain a semblance of normalcy in the face of unimaginable tragedy? The police couldn't shake the feeling that P knew more than he was letting on. Their investigation began to shift, their focus subtly turning towards the man who claimed to be the victim. The autopsy report confirmed the detective's worst fears. Giotti's death was no accident. She had been brutally murdered, her body bearing the marks of a frenzied attack. The absence of a ransom demand further fueled their suspicions. This wasn't about money, it was personal. But who would want Giotti dead, and why? The police meticulously retraced Giotti's steps, searching for any clue that could lead them to her killer. They interviewed her friends and family, trying to piece together the life of the young woman whose life had been cut tragically short. Giotti, they learned, had moved to Caper after her marriage to P. She was a private person, her social circle limited to her husband's family and friends. The more they learned about Giotti, the more perplexing the case became. Who would want to harm this seemingly innocent woman? And why had P's story been so inconsistent? The pieces of the puzzle were there, but they just didn't seem to fit. Section 5. A web of lies. As the investigation progressed, the inconsistencies in P's story became more apparent. His account of the kidnapping, once seemingly airtight, began to crumble under scrutiny. Security footage from the restaurant where P and Giotti had dined on the night of her disappearance contradicted his version of events. The footage showed a couple strangely distant, their interactions cold and forced. P in particular seemed detached, more interested in his phone than in his wife. Further investigation revealed that P had no injuries consistent with his claim of being assaulted during the kidnapping. His clothes, too, were suspiciously clean and undamaged. The evidence pointed to one chilling conclusion: P had fabricated the entire story. But why? What was he trying to hide? The detectives were closing in, their suspicions mounting with each passing moment. They were determined to uncover the truth, no matter how dark it may be. Section 6. Unmasking the Affair. The police, now convinced that P was hiding something, delved into his life. They examined his phone records, hoping to find a clue that would unravel the mystery surrounding Giotti's murder. What they discovered sent the investigation in a whole new direction. P had been in constant contact with a young woman named Manisha. Their calls were frequent and lengthy, suggesting a relationship that went beyond casual acquaintance. Manisha, they soon learned, was from another affluent family in Caper. She and P had known each other for years. The pieces of the puzzle were finally falling into place. The police suspected a love triangle, with Giotti caught in the middle. Had their affair motivated P to get rid of his wife? The detectives were closing in, but they needed concrete evidence to tie P and Manisha to Giotti's murder. Section 7. The Mastermind Unveiled. Armed with the knowledge of P's affair, the police brought him and Manisha in for questioning. The interrogation room became a stage for a high-stakes game of cat and mouse. P, initially maintaining his innocence, crumbled under the weight of the evidence against him. He confessed to orchestrating the elaborate kidnapping plot to cover up his crime. The truth, as it unfolded, was more shocking than anything the investigators could have imagined. P had never wanted to marry Giotti. He was in love with Manisha. However, societal pressure and family expectations had forced his hand. Trapped in a loveless marriage, P had hatched a plan to get rid of Giotti and finally be with the woman he truly loved. The kidnapping was a sham, a carefully constructed facade to mislead the police and buy him time. He had hired a group of thugs to abduct Giotti, promising them a hefty sum once the deed was done. But his plan, as cunningly devised as it was, had a fatal flaw. He had underestimated the power of a single, seemingly insignificant detail. Section 8. A plot gone wrong. P's plan hinged on the police believing his fabricated kidnapping story. He had meticulously crafted every detail, ensuring that he would appear as a distraught husband desperate for his wife's safe return. However, his carefully constructed facade crumbled under the weight of his own actions. The simple act of changing his t-shirt before arriving at the hospital, a subconscious attempt to regain a semblance of normalcy, had inadvertently exposed him. That seemingly inconsequential detail had sparked the detective's suspicion, setting off a chain of events that would ultimately lead to his downfall. P, in his arrogance, had overlooked the power of observation, the meticulous eye of the law that misses nothing. He had played a dangerous game and lost. Section 9. Justice delayed. The police, armed with P's confession and corroborating evidence, arrested him and the hired killers. Manisha, despite her denials, was also implicated in the plot. The news of their arrest sent shockwaves through Caper. The town, still reeling from the shock of Giotti's murder, was now forced to confront the unsettling truth. The man they believed to be a grieving husband had orchestrated his wife's cold-blooded murder. The trial was a media sensation, captivating the nation with its intricate web of lies, betrayal, and deceit. The evidence against P was overwhelming, his carefully constructed facade shattered by his own actions, and the relentless pursuit of justice. However, despite the seemingly open and shut case, justice has been agonizingly slow. Years have passed since that fateful night in Caper, but Giotti's family is still waiting for a resolution, for the closure that has eluded them for far too long. Section 10. The fight for Giotti. Giotti's murder sent shockwaves through Caper, but it also ignited a fire in the hearts of its citizens. They refused to let her memory fade or her case be forgotten. Rallies were held, demanding justice for Giotti and decrying the snail's pace of the legal system. The town, once known for its tranquility, became a beacon of resistance, a testament to the unwavering spirit of a community united in grief and outrage. Giotti's story became a symbol of the fight against violence against women, a stark reminder that even in the supposed safety of their homes, women are not immune to the threat of violence. Her case highlighted the systemic failures that often allow perpetrators to walk free, leaving victims and their families to grapple with the aftermath of unimaginable loss. The fight for Giotti is far from over, but her memory lives on, inspiring a movement determined to create a world where justice is not a privilege but a right. Section 11. A legacy of loss. Giotti's story is a tragedy, a stark reminder of the darkness that can lurk beneath the surface of seemingly perfect lives. It is a tale of love and betrayal, of deceit and desperation. But above all, it is a story about the enduring power of truth and the unwavering pursuit of justice. Giotti may be gone, but her memory lives on, a beacon of hope for a world free from violence and injustice. The case, though years old, remains etched in the annals of Caper's history, a chilling reminder that even in the most tranquil of places evil can lurk, waiting for its moment to strike. Giotti's legacy is one of loss but also one of resilience. Her story serves as a reminder that we must never stop fighting for justice, for the truth, and for a world where such senseless acts of violence are a distant memory.